Hi everyone, and welcome back to The Learning Gardener. Today we are going down the messiest end of our garden to a place I haven't shown you much before, and it is because it just looks like this at the moment. A lot of the flowers need a prune back. We need to do some weeding in a really intense way. It is an area where, as I was having building work done, there was a lot of materials dumped, and it is also an area where I have planted pittosporums as privacy trees in some areas like this one that actually really need to be moved so that the pathway can be opened back up as the pittos have taken off like a rocket. But you can see this is what's left after the building work, and this is the good version of this area. So I often wheel barrows of dirt and mulch down through here from the front, and as it is, I can't mow it, I can't maintain it, so every so often I've been spraying this grass to keep it under control, particularly in summer, because I didn't want to end up with any more snakes, especially not near the house. But we've got tons of building debris here that we need to deal with, and I need to make this more puppy friendly and human friendly very quickly, as I stood on a nail that was poking out of one of these pieces of wood that have been left behind, and it went through my flip-flops and into my foot. I don't know how the dogs have managed to avoid such trouble too, but you can see we've got pots everywhere. When I come home from the nursery or the hardware store, things just get deposited here from the front yard, and it's all just accumulated, and with all the rain I haven't got on top of it. This little patch of succulents is the only bright spot in this area, but apart from that it's a mess. So today we're going to get on to cleaning it and getting it all tidied up. And I know a lot of people don't enjoy voiceover videos, but my apologies. I have a neighbor that likes to watch what I do, and I don't want to be talking on the mic with him listening. So first step was to clean out the side garden where there's quite a gap underneath the fence and get it ready to be bird proofed. So Ladybird has stuck her face under the fence on the other side of the property and had a bit of an argument with their dog, and I want to make sure she doesn't get any ideas on this side because she hates the dog that lives on this side. But thankfully it can't come up this high and it can't poke its head under the fence here, but I also don't want her digging and trying to get out to chase anything else. Like, she loves to follow birds through the backyard, and if there was a kangaroo nearby, which wouldn't be unlikely, she would 100% have her hunting instincts triggered by that, and there's nothing I can do about that. She has very strong hunting instincts. So first things first is to use paper, because I'm all out of cardboard, to try and smother out the weeds that we have here, and then I'm using some of the leftover building products, the bricks, to actually block off that gap. And some of these are bricks that I saved from the previous house that I was renting, and some are the waste products of walls being removed and windows being changed when I was doing building work here. And so I did ask the builders to not get rid of some things so that I could recycle them for things like this. A lot of the wood I have kept so that I could hopefully make some sort of tomato supports, or maybe protective barriers for birds for my blueberries, but we will see what we end up doing with them. There's a lot more nails than I anticipated in some of the wood, but we got to deal with it and make the most of it. This is very acidic berry soil, which needs to go down the back for our blueberries, because we are going to be planting another bed of blueberries and strawberries very soon. All the soil that's in these beds I have wheelbarrowed down the back, and it has been a massive task. With these berry beds, because I know that the soil is quite alkaline, as I was filling the beds with soil, I was layering in some sulfur to make the beds more acidic over time. But because I don't want the strawberries and the blueberries that I'm going to put in this bed to be unhappy while they're establishing themselves, I am topping the beds with the acidic soil so that they have a decent pH to get going while the sulfur does its thing in the rest of the bed. Some of these pieces of wood are way too small for me to use for anything in particular, also because they have so many nails in, so I'll take them down the back and use them as firewood. But part of what I was doing was trying to get things ready for a tip run, and then my best friend Rachel arrived unexpectedly with her dog Clancy, and that usually means I finish filming, because last time I was filming when Clancy came to play with Rafa, they broke my camera. But what we decided to do was to go to the tip this morning, so I needed to get a wriggle on and work out what we were going to be taking. So I tried to filter out all the broken bricks and chunks of concrete and all the parts of the old steps that the builder had pulled out here that had a massive ant's nest in them, that I wanted to go to the tip and start wheeling it out the front of the house where we could load it into her trailer, and between the two of us we would work out how to get the trailer down to the tip. This is our second ever attempt driving a trailer and our second attempt at doing it together, so it was a busy day and we both decided to get as much done as humanly possible. It's pretty amazing having Rach living just 3 doors down. I was a little bit worried that it would be an Everybody Loves Raymond situation and we might end up annoying each other, spending so much time together. But it's actually been really, really amazing. The two of us have days where we just try and get stuff done together, and we're incredibly productive. We don't have to wait for husbands or kids or anyone else to help us. Between the two of us, we get huge amounts of work done, and today was no exception, apart from a slight lizard hunting delay after Birdie found a large lizard underneath this wood as I was moving it and insisted on chasing it, which was a bit concerning because there's still a lot of nails. But we managed to get everything unpacked, but the poor little lizard didn't make it. I couldn't believe what an amazing difference just doing a tip run had made to this area, but it was time to try and pick up all the little tiny bits of wood and all the smaller chunks of concrete. I really wanted to be able to whippersnipper through here, and I did not want to kick up any stones and hit the windows, but it was first I had to do just so much picking up of like little tiny bits and sorting out pots and organizing little chunks of wood to go down to the back fire pit. So this part took quite a while, and there's also old fencing that needed to be sorted out. It was a massive job, and I couldn't believe how much was hidden underneath this long grass, although I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I've been ignoring this area for quite some time for a very good reason. This area not only became a dumping ground when the builders were working here, but also when we moved in, the removalist put this large umbrella stand here, and I haven't moved it since. And they put loads and loads of pots here that I have just completely neglected, as well as all the material we used at the previous house to stop Birdie from jumping over that low fence in order to chase really anything, but particularly birds. It is also a place where I have actually put some finds that Rachel and I had on our previous tip runs, which is these 2 Adirondack chairs, which I got for $5. And even though it started raining, I popped the camera inside and continued working on cleaning this area up. I know I've been avoiding it for a long time, but it was kind of satisfying to finally see things changing, and I wanted to get as much done as I possibly could. One of the main reasons why I've left this area to its own devices for so long, apart from the fact that it was just overwhelmingly messy and just time issues, was that a lot of this stuff, to be stored properly, needs to go into a garden shed, and at this stage I just don't have one, and so I didn't really have anywhere better to move it. But I can't keep looking at this area like it is, so it's time to do what I can. This was a fence that originally fenced off this courtyard area, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. Originally I thought I might fence in the compost area to stop Birdie using the compost bins as a launching pad over the fence, but at this point she hasn't thought of that, so I'm hopeful that I don't need to. I don't want it to look like an eyesore in the backyard, even if I was to grow something like passion fruit vines on it. But I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I had a hell of a time trying to get the concrete off, and then at the end I decided to leave it because it was making such a mess of tiny little concrete particles. I was really concerned about how that was going to go when I was whippersnippering, so I didn't want to make things harder for myself. My goal for this area was just to tidy up and to be able to tame the grass and the weeds. Without the garden shed, as I said before, there's a lot of things that I'm not going to be able to completely put away for this weekend, which is frustrating because you want to be able to totally finish a job, but I'm still a long way from having a garden shed, and I just have to make do for the time being. I am not ready to throw out some of these things like the fencing panels and things like that I'm not yet sure if I'll use, or if I might sell online or take to the tip, or I don't know yet what I'm going to do with a lot of these products, and I just want to keep my options open for now. So that means today is just a massive tidy up day. I call this area the courtyard, and this job just seemed totally overwhelming when I started. But there's something about these huge total makeover jobs that I just love when you look up at some point and realize suddenly how much progress you've made. It's like the process of getting the house ready to move into and creating the garden beds. It just was such a huge job to begin with, but at some point it became something that I wanted to do all the time, that my body got used to doing, that my mind got used to the effort required to do it. And when you look back at the process of doing it, once you start getting going, it's so satisfying. And I hope there's always things, which sounds crazy, to work on, because I really enjoy this process of transforming an area. These Adirondack chairs were $5 from the tip, and the guy at the tip shop told me that one of them, this one, just needed a screw into it to hold it back together, but I could not for the life of me get the screw in. So I decided to just deal with that on another day. For some reason it wasn't my day, and just to keep tidying up. And then it happened. I was whippersnippering and there must have been a rock that it kicked up, because there was an almighty bang, and now I've got a pretty big problem. It's not really the best fix, but it'll have to do for now. I could not believe my luck. I was deliberately staying away from the area that I'm in now, which is all rocky, and yet somehow a little stone got kicked up and it just became a very expensive do-over job. These steps, I have been wanting to put these pavers around for a little while, but after I painted the stairs, I just kind of forgot about this as a job. I don't have a level, so I just roughly leveled out the sand and placed the pavers here. The idea with putting the pavers, and I mostly did this just around this area just because it can accumulate quite a lot of water around here and it gets a bit boggy. And I'm just trying to fit pavers around the existing pavers. I more did this around the laundry side because that was going to be the place where I was going to have the dog door, and it does get very muddy there, and I was really hoping that the puppies would essentially wipe off some of the mud off their feet before they came in on the pavers. And I think ultimately this area needs to be properly done, but in terms of what I've got the energy for today, this is as good as it's going to get. Today was not our best day getting things done. Unfortunately, when I was whippersnippering the courtyard for the first time in a very, very long time, I kicked up a stone and it shattered the sliding door. Of course, this is a few days before we go away for at least a week, so that's not ideal. But we're waiting for the 24-hour glass guy to call back. We didn't get the job finished today. Hopefully tomorrow we will. It has been a weekend of hiccups. We also had an incident with Birdie and the dog next door underneath the fence. So I spent a fair bit of yesterday, trying to set my glove on fire, fixing that issue so that she can't get under the fence again. And that took up a fair bit of time, but hopefully I will get to show you that in a video that we'll do tomorrow, because we're going to be away for a little while now, and then when we come back I'm not going to be able to do any heavy lifting work, so I've really got to try and get it done this weekend in between shattering windows. But we'll get back into it tomorrow, and for tonight we're just going to enjoy a little burn off. The puppies have just had dinner and I'm yet to have dinner, but after today I just need to sit and enjoy, really, and just take a breath. Who knows how well this fire will burn. We've had a little bit of rain in the last week, so everything's probably still a little bit wet. And I haven't stacked it all that well. I've just dumped things on top, but we will see. And whatever happens, we're going to try and enjoy it. The next day I was back at it, and I still don't know how I want this area to be long term. I've thought about things like pergolas, and my initial idea was to have a beautiful bougainvillea over it, but I still don't know if I will do that. So for now I am using this pot to house a beautiful bay tree that I bought a while ago that's just been sitting in its pot, but I'm using it to fill up one of the ditches in this ground while I determine what I'm going to do. This ditch was created by us searching for pipes when we first moved in, when I was shoving my arm down pipes to try and work out what direction they flowed to. So today I just wanted to get the bay tree in the pot and get it happily established. And I started to work on some outdoor furniture which I had gotten for free years ago, and just never got around to setting up at previous homes, and just taken it from home to home in their box. So it was kind of satisfying to finally see what was in those boxes after all those years, and to see this beautiful bay tree get set and happy. Unfortunately, it was a really not great time to smash up a door, but I guess at least it was the door, so I could lock the screen door in front of it and not the side panel. But because I was going to be away from home for nearly 2 weeks, I decided to prop the fence panels in front of the door in multiple layers, so that at least if someone decided to try and get in through here while I was gone, they would have to move multiple levels of fencing and would probably draw attention to themselves. Then it was time to try and finish off some of the weeding and pulling out this long grass. I've gone back and forth about what I want to do with this area. For the time being, it's going to continue being lizard hunting zone, and it's one of Birdie's favorites. But I've thought about doing things like succulents along here, but I want to be careful not to plant anything too much up against the house, because apparently that increases your likelihood of getting termites into your house, which I am not interested in. So for the time being, I'm just weeding it. I was thinking I might put some of my raised garden pots and maybe plant some winter veg in here, because this is quite a sunny spot in summer and there are very few of those in my garden. But it was quite a weedy spot, and it definitely needed a clear out, and it made such a difference to how the area looked visually, which also made me feel a lot better after the whole window debacle. I have another bench seat similar to this. I believe it's the same brand, sitting in the garage at the moment. I have not constructed it yet, and that might be a job for this weekend because it's going to be a wet one where we are at the moment. But I don't actually know what it looks like either, just like I had no idea what this one looked like. And I quickly put this together, or started to, and then realized I'd done it incorrectly before racing off for a baby shower, which I needed to get ready for. But this chair has actually just been sitting in the courtyard ever since I did the clean out here. And for some reason, I really love it. Even though if I was to sit on this chair, I'd be looking directly into my neighbor's house, and so I don't sit there because it would be really awkward. I just kind of love the idea of having a little seat there with the bay tree next to it and just enjoying the view. One day in the not too distant future, the pittosporums will be tall enough to actually block out that view, so maybe then it will be a less awkward place to sit and maybe a beautiful winter warm spot. It is to be determined how this area turns out in the end. If you have any great ideas, I would love to hear them below in the comments. Apart from the broken door and the expense incurred, I'm really happy with the way this area turned out. I've got 2 potted pittosporum here that need to go back on the stairs, but for the time being they're sitting off to the side while I'm still wheeling the wheelbarrow up and down the side of the house. But overall, I'm really happy with this area. I can't believe how different it looks. Yes, the area down near the gate is still a bit of a dumping ground and hasn't been attended to, but it just looks so much better, so much more open, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this transforms further over the coming months and years, and I would love to hear your ideas. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with us and watching another one of our videos, and hopefully we will see you again in the next one, and I hope you've enjoyed watching us transform this area. I've appreciated you hanging out with us. Thanks for watching.